Wednesday, January 31st, first month of the year, almost in the books. Welcome to the Damon Bruce Show. I'm here today to tell you about the top 5 matchups of Super Bowl 58, among other things. So let's hop right in. Good to see everyone. Starting at number 5, we're working away our most important. Juwan Taylor versus Nick Bosa. To get to Mahomes just once in a playoff game is a feat unto itself. Nick Bosa needs to be putting pressure on him all day long, but actually wrapping him up and sacking him again. I think it's happened once all postseason so far. It's got to happen at least once for Nick Bosa in the Super Bowl. Juwan Taylor, is he a bad tackle? Not really, but he's not good at this either. He is the most penalized player in the NBA this year, so I don't want to hear any, it was a clean game for him, a flag-free game against Nick Bosa. Most penalized tackles don't play flag-free football against Nick Bosa, and hopefully that's not allowed to happen in the Super Bowl. Fourth biggest matchup of Super Bowl 58. We keep it on the 49ers defensive line. Javon Hargrave against Isaiah Pacheco and the internal works of that Kansas City offensive line. One of the best pass rushing D tackles in all of football has been getting blown off the line. We just saw that against the Packers, and we saw that against the Lions in that run game. Now, in order to get to Mahomes, you got to see Hargrave in this game. And if Hargrave is not in this game because he's getting abused in the run game, that's a bad sign for the San Francisco 49ers. If he has to get off the field because Kansas City is just staying balanced and in rhythm in their run game with Pacheco, that just, it cannot happen if the 49ers are going to win this game. A huge matchup between Hargrave, that interior line, and how he can play the run to keep him out on that field to defend against the pass. Third biggest matchup of Super Bowl 58. Mooney Ward against Rashee Rice. So Rashee Rice is far and away the best wide receiver that the Kansas City Chiefs have had this season. If he's taken out of the games, Mahomes has trust issues with everyone else on this team not named Travis Kelce. Rice has 20 postseason catches so far this postseason for the Kansas City Chiefs. No other Chiefs wide receiver has more than 5 catches in this postseason. Basically, as great as the Kansas City Chiefs are in terms of an offensive threat, just because that's what Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid do, they can become very predictable. And we'll get to the other element of that predictability here in just a second. But you go ahead, you shut down Rashee Rice, all of a sudden, Patrick Mahomes, instead of having 3 places to go with the ball, has 2 places to go with the ball, which brings us to our second biggest matchup of Super Bowl 58, and that is Fred Warner against Travis Kelce. And if we're talking about the single biggest individual matchup in the Super Bowl, that might be it right there. Fred Warner and Travis Kelce, one of the best against the pass linebackers in football, which makes Fred Warner maybe the best overall linebacker in all of football. He's got to be great against the run. He's got to be even better when it comes to defending Travis Kelce. He's got to stay in his hip pocket all game long. And how Travis Kelce, the single greatest receiving tight end of my lifetime and very possibly NFL history, how he is allowed free releases and spaces to find and soft zone coverage to just sit down in. I don't get it. I don't understand how this happens game after game. I watch an awful lot of Kansas City Chiefs football, and for some reason, Travis Kelce is wide open all the time. Let's give Travis some credit there. He's obviously very good at what he does, but how defenses take their eye off that guy is just, it's unfathomable to me. And it's unfathomable to me how the Chiefs win this game without Travis Kelce having a huge one. You can't give him all the room to operate. Fred Warner in his hip pocket, Jair Brown over the top. You bracket coverage him for the entirety of the Super Bowl. Everyone else can just piss off. If anyone else beats you that day, you know what? Fine. I can live with that. If I'm a 49er fan, what I can't live with is the 49ers lost the Super Bowl because Travis Kelce had 10 catches on 12 targets for 132 yards and 3 touchdowns. That can't happen. You lose to Kansas City that way, shame on you. Any other way, that's called football. But you cannot let Travis Kelce just go bonkers on you. Cannot happen. That's a really good way to lose the Super Bowl. I think there's a prop bet on Travis Kelce proposing to Taylor Swift at the end of the game should the Chiefs win it right there on the field. So if both of those things are happening, I'm guessing it wasn't a very good night for the San Francisco 49ers. Before we get to the number one matchup, one other note, just sneaking this in here for you. When it comes to, all right, well, I've got eyes, you got eyes, and it certainly doesn't take an NFL coach or coordinator's eyes to see what I'm looking at when you just open up the box scores and see who the Chiefs really are. Kelce and Rashee Rice have combined for 43 of the Chiefs' 70 postseason catches so far on this playoff run. That's 61% of all air traffic going to 2 guys. The 49ers defense takes 1 guy out. That's good. You take both guys out of this game, the parade goes up Market Street on Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, following Super Bowl Sunday. The key to beating the Kansas City Chiefs is slowing down Travis Kelce and shutting down Rashee Rice. Either of those things happen, it's very good for the Niners. Both those things happen, it's very bad for the Kansas City Chiefs. Finally, though, the number one matchup, and now this is going to be big and broad, and it might not sit well for you because you're looking for individual matchups, but what we have here is a matchup of minds, and they're the 2 most important minds in the game. And what is stunning is that Andy Reid isn't even on this list. Andy Reid is a phenomenal head coach. He has designed the perfect offense for, Patrick Mahomes to elevate himself in a very short amount of seasons to maybe one of the single greatest quarterbacks, if not the greatest quarterback prospect talent we've ever seen. He's remarkable. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes together are remarkable. But the reason why the Kansas City Chiefs are in this season's Super Bowl is because of that defense. And the single biggest matchup on the field is Kyle Shanahan's mind against Steve Spagnuolo's mind. That is the chess game right there. Now, that encompasses the entirety of the San Francisco 49ers offense. Everybody across that offensive line, you better play well. Debo, Kittle, McCaffrey, Ayuk, Purdy. Everyone's got to be Johnny on the spot, but they have to be put in the right spots by their head coach. And Steve Spagnuolo, if he had a job title that was a little bit more poetic than just defensive coordinator, his job title would be smothering elite defenses in the biggest games of the year. That's what Steve Spagnuolo does. That's who he is. That's why he's a coach in this league. He is a monster, and the bigger the game gets, the better his defense usually is. Steve Spagnuolo shut down the undefeated Patriots, who had the highest scoring offense in NFL history when they rolled into that Super Bowl with the New York Giants. And the 2007 Pats only put up 14 points on the board in that Super Bowl after basically being a pinball machine on tilt the entire regular season. Steve Spagnuolo's defense held the San Francisco 49ers in 2019 to only 20 points in a Super Bowl that Kyle took on the chin with Jimmy Garoppolo. Last Super Bowl, we saw the Eagles, who were a handful a Super Bowl ago and very tough to prepare for, with the offensive wrinkle that was Hurts and the tush push and even though the tush push really came into focus this year, it was in play. That beastly offensive line for Philadelphia was in play, and Philadelphia had some talent. They put up 35 on the Chiefs and Steve Spagnuolo, but the Chiefs scored 38. And the Chiefs, kind of a similar formula, like Tyreek Hill's not there. That guy's taken out of the game. Now you just sit on Travis Kelce. That could be a win. Well, it wasn't, because the Chiefs really rang the bell in that Super Bowl. But Kyle Shanahan and Steve Spagnuolo, that's the matchup. That's the biggest matchup right there. Of the entire game, the coaching minds are on full display. And hopefully Andy Reid has an off night. I mean, you got to be hoping for that too, because that guy, when he sits down to cook up a game plan, it usually tastes delicious. Speaking of delicious, let's try our sip of the day. See how that's doing. That's perfect. Timed it right. Thank you for being here. Your timing is right. It's great to have you. Hit like and subscribe. My name's Damon, and my buddy Nick will be by later this afternoon. Be watching this channel around 2:30-ish, 2:45-ish, I believe is the tentatively scheduled start time. But Nick Wright, one of the biggest Kansas City Chiefs fans out there, and the single biggest Brock Purdy hater out there, for whatever reason, this guy remains my friend, and he'll be joining us on the Plus a little bit later on this Wednesday afternoon. If you're joining us right here, right now, go ahead, hit like and subscribe. We are approaching, oh my goodness, 100 members. And I do believe that tonight, this evening, Bane will be releasing, Sports Bane will be releasing a video specifically for members. So if you'd like to hear from Sports Bane, maybe hop on one of those memberships that are available. But if you don't want to do that, again, thanks so much for the super chats, for the support, just chatting to make that algorithm flow. Hit like, hit subscribe. Thank you oh so much for doing all of that. And thank you oh so very much to my sponsors. Ike is helping me get to Vegas next week. Oh, yes, he is. And I am going to be dropping some amazing content on you all next week from Las Vegas. And my man Ike wants to drop a delicious sandwich on you, and he wants to do it today. Sign up for the Ike's Rewards membership app. Do it, because you're going to get Ike's Reward membership points for every point the 49ers score. And if you've been signed up already in the postseason, you've got all the points that they've scored. And if you want to start getting points, you better sign up before the Super Bowl arrives. Ike's Rewards app. Download his app in anywhere you download your apps and start eating your way towards free, absolutely delicious sandwiches with my man Ike. Speaking of the big game coming up, mybookie.ag. Use promo code Damon when you sign up for mybookie.ag. And just like being in Vegas, not only can you make a play or two on sports, individual team props, and everything you want in the sports gambling world, but you also have a full functioning casino, baby, because it's offshore. So check out mybookie.ag. Use promo code Damon when you sign up. And again, sponsoring Postgame and Damon. Postgame and Damon will be making one more appearance this year at the 2-minute warning of the Super Bowl, and I hope you plan on ditching CBS to join me here on YouTube at the 2-minute warning. As a matter of fact, even though it's weeks out, I need to put that studio on my page so you can either click on it, get ready, hit that notify button. Don't miss a thing. The final post-game and Damon in the final football game of the year is coming up at the 2-minute warning of the Super Bowl. Looking forward to it. I know that there's a lot of movement here on the chat. Oh, and Chef A wants to wish everyone, as she always does, a happy Humo Day. It's amazing what one typographical error can do to change the nature of an entire language in a chat room. So happy Humo Day to all of our plusers for sure. Chef A, thank you very, very much. AJ Cruz just wants everyone to know that the under hit today. I'm not going to say that yesterday I was influenced by it, but I think that we had our single biggest venture into a show where there was an actual sip of the day, and I realized that I had blown it. I went way too long. Way too long. My man Ike, yo. Let's go. Ike, you ready? You ready to party in Vegas? You ready to party in Vegas, buddy? Jedi, 1.5 sackaroonies for Bosa. Look at it this way. I'm not going to be greedy. I'll take the under as long as it's one. Getting to Patrick Mahomes for one sack in a postseason game, that's the hardest sack there is in football. That is the hardest sack there is to find in football. If he finds it but once, fantastic. If he finds it more than once, well, then all of a sudden, I bet you the 49ers are winning the Super Bowl. Like, that is a huge changing of the flow of this game. Is Patrick Mahomes uncomfortable? Making Patrick Mahomes uncomfortable in a football game, it's about as hard of a thing there is to do. So just get him. Just go out and get that guy. Get him once. Anything other than that, gravy. Smiley Dan says, hey, man, maybe Hargrave has been practicing too hard. I don't think that's the problem. He's got to start playing harder. That guy has been blown off the line so far in this postseason. We haven't used his name in a positive or good way once since we've hit the postseason. So let's see what Hargrave has for the Super Bowl. G. Martinez says, Ward can handle Rice. I hope you are right. I hope you are right. Lore, again, no questions about this. Niners got to tackle, wrap it up. That point of attack needs to be where the tackle happens. If the Chiefs are looking at Yak Yard City, that ain't good. That ain't good. Sporticus said the biggest Super Bowl matchup must include Shanahan and Reed and Wilkes and Spags. Well, you were ahead of me, and you got two of the four, that's for sure. Huge game for Fred Warner. Probably the most important game of Fred Warner's entire career. This is a legacy game for an awful lot of guys. But if Fred Warner can really say, I'm the dude who shut down Travis Kelce in the Super Bowl, well, look at it this way. I don't know if the 49ers win the Super Bowl without that happening. That's how big of an X factor Travis Kelce has been since he was drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs, essentially. That guy is feeling himself after a less than Kelce regular season. He's having an extra Kelce postseason. So look out for that guy, Fred Warner. Big job. Big job for you, Freddie, my boy. Just for a minute, and thank God, like, this isn't a thought exercise anyone would want to do if it were real. Thank God it's not real. But just for a minute, I want you to imagine if the 49ers had lost their third NFC title game in a row. Oh, the world that we would be living in. The noise around this team. The topics on all of the talk shows. It would just be insufferable. All you would hear is, told you Brock Purdy wasn't him. Told you Brock wasn't the guy. He'll probably never win the big one. It's amazing and borderline lucky that he's been this far in his career already. But that wouldn't even be the half of it. All you'd hear about is how Kyle definitely can never win the big one, because Kyle will never win the big one and has never won the big one. And that's not going to be changing. And then you get to the Nick Bosa is overpaid crowd. They would certainly show up and hear themselves take part in this conversation of criticism. Then it would turn to Steve Wilkes, and it was Steve Wilkes that killed the team in this defense all year long, and he would be catching an awful lot of the blame. And then you'd have the Jake Moody can't be trusted no matter what crowd, no matter what success he had actually had on his way. Oh my God, in the postseason, you just can't trust him. Haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, you got to be a doubting Thomas on a rookie kicker. In spite of the fact he had a pretty good good regular season, but just it ain't him. I know for a fact it's not going to be that guy. Can't trust the kicker, can't trust the defensive coordinator, can't trust the quarterback. The head coach might be a little bit of a regular season winner, but he's ultimately a postseason loser, even though he is the all-time franchise's winningest head coach from a percentage standpoint. You would hear all those things had they lost their third straight championship. Oh, wait a minute. That's what we're hearing anyways, even though they're in the Super Bowl. Like, what are people covering at this point? What are people talking about at this point? I have heard the 49ers, who are in the Super Bowl. Like, you can't do much more than that before the Super Bowl kicks off. All you can do between the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl is to reach the Super Bowl. Can't do more than that right now. And you'd think that an awful lot of fans would be very excited that their team is in the Super Bowl, and they would maybe, just maybe, in the comment sections, in the video comments, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, they would stop with the constant 24-hour-a-day sky is falling, bitching, moaning, complaining, worrying about this football team. It's unbelievable. Football is the most watched anything on television. I wish half of you didn't have your TVs. You don't deserve to be watching football. You don't even deserve to be watching. Like, I am getting messages. Like, messages on Facebook from people who watch the videos that I do, and I try to interact, like or thumbs up. I'm trying to be, hey, welcome to the party, everybody. It's great to have you here. You want to interact with me? I want to interact with you. It helps the algorithm. It's good for business. What the hell am I doing? I'm sitting on my couch anyways. I'm fucking scrolling through my phone anyway. I'm getting like DMs. I'm getting comments basically saying, I know Jake Moody's going to fuck up the Super Bowl. I just know it. I've been a 49er fan my entire life, and I know that this guy's going to fuck us up. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, you're in the Super Bowl. If you can't put your personal opinion down just for a second to root for your own team and hope for the best possible outcome now, what kind of a fan are you? You're not a fan. You're not a fan. You're a, Real Housewives of the NFL, just bitching and moaning and looking to snake everyone's happiness at all time. That's all you're doing. Everybody at the table is having a great meal, enjoying themselves, taking deep breaths, and all you're doing is farting all over everything. Like, keep your criticism to yourself. Like, if you think Jake Moody's going to miss a big field goal in the Super Bowl, shut the fuck up and keep it to yourself. What are you doing putting that out in the world for, the universe? Like, I'm trying to make you better, fans. I shouldn't have to teach you how to ski on the bunny slope of fandom. Team reaches Super Bowl, root for team, rinse, wash, repeat. How hard is that? It's unbelievable the way that this team is getting talked about by people who claim to be 49er fans. You want to be a little bit worried? That's fine. But you shouldn't go on like a 65-paragraph diatribe of everything that is about to go wrong for the team that you claim to have been a huge fan of for 30 years. You're in the Super Bowl. The only way it gets better than that is to win the Super Bowl. And you can't win a Super Bowl without being in it. So up to this point, everything has gone fabulously. This is a fabulous football season. With all your anxiety and your stress aside, it's been fabulous. Your opinion of what might go wrong has been so thoroughly destroyed by a fabulous football season. Maybe it's just time to shut up. Maybe it's just time to pipe down the never-ending stream of worry and negativity and doubt. Just sit back and enjoy the ride. I mean, first possession of the NFC Championship game. The Lions come right down the field. They score a touchdown. I'll admit that wasn't a good start, but there's a lot of football game left. Like the 49ers haven't even touched the ball yet. And I got people just texting me on Twitter, oh, this game's over. This game's over. There's no way they're going to win this game. Down 7-0 with down 7-0 with 13 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Oh, this is over. I knew it wasn't going to happen. It's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable, and I don't get it. Like, why do you bother watching if all you're going to do is doubt it and hate it and be miserable through all of it? Like, if you're a 49ers fan and you're not happy this week, go fuck yourself. You suck. You got it all wrong. You have literally, fandom is your own personal thing, and you can do with your own fandom, I guess, whatever you want, but you are blowing it. You're absolutely blowing it by acting like this. I guarantee you Jake Moody's going to miss the field goal that costs us the Super Bowl. Look at it this way. If you think that field goals is going to have you win a Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs, maybe you're too dumb to watch the Super Bowl in the first place. I mean, you know what you want to see out of Nick Moody? You don't want to see him unless he's kicking points after touchdown. That means you might win the Super Bowl. I can't think of a better Super Bowl than Nick Moody, no field goal attempts. Bet you the Niners won that game. Good God. Some of you, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, are some fragile bitches. '49ers division rival has a new head coach. News broke just before I came on the air with you on this fine day. Adam Schefter letting us know that the Seahawks are hiring Baltimore Ravens defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald as their next head coach. The 36-year-old Macdonald becomes the NFL's youngest head coach and brings Seattle a team that has got a very good defensive mind now. And I guess if you're Seahawks, I mean, look, when you got McVay and Shanahan in your division, the Cardinals, they hired Gannon, and now another defensive coordinator assumes a head coaching role in the NFC West. Macdonald, 36 years old. The Ravens were number 1 in points allowed this year, sacks and takeaways. It was his second season as Baltimore's defensive coordinator. And he is now the youngest head coach in the NFL at the age of 36, and he's replacing the man who was the oldest head coach in the NFL. Pete Carroll was 72, but didn't look a day over 71. I mean, Pete Carroll looked phenomenal. Pete Carroll looks like he's 55 years old. He still looks fantastic. So Seahawks, and look, we all see this. This is a young man's game now. Macdonald's 16 months younger than Jared Mayo, who was hired by the New England Patriots to succeed Bill Belichick. So you had a youngster replacing old man Belichick, and now a youngster replaces old man Carroll. And all I can tell you is he's starting to look with his salt and pepper tendencies. Kyle Shanahan, old man Shanahan. Well, guess what? Old man Shanahan isn't that old of a man. He's only 44, and he just turned 44 in December. So it's good to be young. Good to be young. By the way, the fact that it's good to be young is not lost on the Golden State Warriors. Just a quick minute on the Warriors here before we hop into today's Club Plus, because we've got much more coming up this afternoon with Nick Wright. The Warriors moved 4 games under 500 with their win over the 76ers, almost called them the Phillies. They beat the 76ers Tuesday night at Chase Center by 12 points. Now, there was no Tyrese Maxey, which means we're grading this on a curve, but the Warriors are in no position to be particular about how they win games right now. Curry, he had 8 threes. He dropped 37, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Was his third straight 30-point game. Wiggins actually played one of his best games of the season, which is fantastic because whatever it takes to get him traded and on another team's roster is exactly what I want to have happen. If Andrew Wiggins could score 109 points and get himself traded, let's do that. By the way, Kuminga goes for 26. He is officially the Warriors' second best player now. The Warriors are looking for something, looking for anything out on this trade market. Basically told the NBA, hey, we poked around a little bit, but we still haven't found what we like. How about this? Anyone but Curry. Phone lines are open. That is the news out of Chase Center, that the Warriors have basically told the NBA, give us a call, we'll take the call for anyone on this roster but Steph Curry. Maybe the most consequential thing, unless the Warriors have a huge turnaround from last night's game, is that Joel Embiid, who had missed a handful of games in a row with a sore knee, went down late in the game with a knee that they're now saying could be a problem. All eyes on that setback, and it might take him out of MVP contention. Embiid has already missed 12 games so far this season. He is 6 absences away from becoming ineligible for postseason awards. The NBA instituted a new rule ahead of this year that a player must participate in 65 games and log at least 20 minutes in those appearances to qualify for an MVP award and a selection to an all-NBA team. Now, honestly, I've always thought that we need some endurance standards applied to NBA MVPs, but it shouldn't be like in writing. Because let's say someone goes absolutely bonkers and is one game underqualified for, like, there shouldn't be a rule disqualifying someone from amount of games played. Like, we'll know a fraud when we see it. We'll know someone who hasn't given enough when we've seen it. And by the way, I think Joel Embiid is a false prophet. I'm not impressed with who he is as a basketball player. He's incredibly talented, but I mean, that guy gets 20 free throws a night. Okay, maybe that's a slight exaggeration, but he's getting at least 13, 14 free throws a game. That's a lot. You give that to Steph Curry. Steph Curry's probably averaging 40. So all I can tell you is that it's time to, if you haven't started watching a little basketball, you better get to it, because in about 2 weekends from now, we are all out of football and it's basketball season. And hopefully basketball season goes as far as it can, because baseball season in the Bay Area is going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Forgetful. That sip of the day is still holding well. Again, I tempered the mug. When you temper the mug, good things happen. Yosarian wants to know, where's the Plus Bar? So the Plus Bar is the halfway club out on Geneva. You almost got to leave San Francisco to get to it, but it is a bar opened up by some dear friends of mine, and we will be hosting the next Plus Mania 3, The Revenge, at the Halfway Club. But don't wait until I get there before you go there and check it out. By the way, the hot dog, how often do you say this? The hot dog is phenomenal. The burger is really good. I also had their tender pork loin sandwich, like hammering out. If you Midwesterners know what I'm talking about, it's a pork loin sandwich. It's like the size of a Frisbee, and it's on a bun, and it overhangs the bun all the way around. It is delicious, fried little piece of porky heaven. Cocktails are spot on, too. Heavy pours, baby. At the Halfway Club. So I told you, the beauty of YouTube is streamlining everything to never waste your time. I'm not going to drag you through a whole bunch of content you don't need in the name of my on-air shift isn't over. Now, this show is not over. It continues inside of Club Plus, and it's going there right now. For everyone listening on the podcast, which, by the way, is now officially over 200,000 plus views. The podcast just had a record month. And I thank you all so very much for listening and supporting. And I remind you all that Nick Wright will be joining me on YouTube. That will appear in podcast form a bit later on as well. But please do remember that sports don't build character, they reveal it. And like that, he's gone. Turn the lights on. Oh, yeah, look at that. It's like a Vegas nightclub. Just springing to life. Just springing to life. What do we got here? We're at the top of the chat with this one, Manuel Ruiz Esparza. Manuel says, just like Damon in Vegas, the Niners need to wrap up. No, dude, I'm married. I'm married. We won't be doing any of that in Las Vegas. Come on. You don't need any protection for a lap dance. And as you all saw from Jillian, I do have permission to receive one of those. Red Jet Shell, Damon Bruce, the like, the sub buttons. Oh, yes, hit them both. Get on it. Get in it. Feel good about it. Brother, if you want the best Mexican food, the one place to go is Lefty's, which would be right down the street from Fremont Street. I'm Mexican. I can tell you it is the best. You'll be Mexican afterwards. Well, I am as pro a delicious taco as any gringo you're ever going to see in your life. So thank you very much for the tip. Letty's, not Lefties, Letty's. Letty's down from Fremont Street. Okay. I like it. Thanks for the tip. Words of wisdom let us know that his wife will be wearing her lucky thong in Las Vegas. Big Mac 8675. The beauty of Fred Warner is that I never have to worry about him going out and balling out. The Kelce task is tough. I think he can do it. So do I. And what I don't understand, like what I seriously don't understand, is how Kelce seems to be so poorly defended just from a plan standpoint in all these games that I watch. Like, how is Travis Kelce sitting in no one around him in a 10-yard open space? I don't get it. How does Travis Kelce have so much daylight around him? Like, isn't that the number one priority, to cover that guy in any single defensive game plan? Red Jet says, yeah, they're going to complain regardless. Never satisfied. Some of these fans out there. I'm only worried about the Swiftie refs now. Taylor Swift influencing this game through the officials. What is funny is that every single one of these fans who is bitching and moaning and worrying and just kvetching and just dumping buckets of anxiety about the Niners into the world will be the first person hanging over the railing on the parade route screaming, I believed it all the time. I love you guys. You're my favorite. You know what I mean? Like, if you can't enjoy anything other than the moment you won the Super Bowl, like, as a fan, you don't deserve to win a Super Bowl. You really don't. You really don't. This has been a remarkable year. Joe Schmo's got the right attitude. It's a holiday. It's a holiday of being an NFL fan. Well, I don't know if you're saying it's a holiday to be an NFL. Exactly. This should be fun. This should be fun. Now, there are times when your team is just nothing but a ball of frustration and anxiety, and you do want to bitch and moan, and it feels right to crap on everything, and you got to identify which teams are those teams and which teams are in the Super Bowl next Sunday. Right? Like, there's a big difference between Chip Kelly's the coach or in the Super Bowl next Sunday, and you probably shouldn't treat both equally. Truer words have never been spoken by our wise true blue forever. Don't be a turd in the punch bowl. And this is a little bit like, Generation TikTok thinks everything should be handed to them with zero effort at all. Just give me nothing but unquestionable success. I've earned it my first day out of college. The younger Niner fans, 30 years or younger, can be completely miserable at times. Yeah, I mean, we're watching. Look at that generation right now. The most anxiety-riddled, coddled, pussified generation America has ever seen. They're underemployed. They're undersexed. They don't know how to talk to adults. They're just miserable. It's like when Adam Silver looked out across his young league and said, everybody in my league is miserable. It's because none of you got perspective. So you should come here and listen to the trash heap, because Marjorie knows what she's talking about. Little Fraggle Rock reference, which goes right over the head of anyone under the age of 30. So maybe I need to work on my references a little bit. Annan X says, did Shanahan have a role in Atlanta's loss to New England? Sorry for bringing up old stuff. Yes, he did. But you know what? In the history of football, there has never been an offensive or defensive coordinator who was held more responsible than the head coach for success or failure in a Super Bowl, but for Kyle Shanahan's moment in the Super Bowl as the offensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons. And Kyle went out and got up 28-3. But the blame doesn't go on the defensive coordinator. Well, there were a few calls that I didn't like from Kyle. Okay, fine. But they were up 28-3. So you weren't bitching about being up 28-3, which Kyle, I guess, gets a little bit of credit for. Or no, you don't want to give him credit for anything positive that happened in that game. You just want to give him the blame of everything that went wrong in that game, even though it said head coach on someone else's business card. It's really unique. It just disappeared at the top of my chat. But it was basically said, you know, like, these are the same people who see a gorgeous day when they go outside, take a deep breath and go, earthquake weather. I mean, yeah. Know when the sun is shining. Know when the sun is shining. Know when to grab a little suntan lotion and know when to grab an umbrella. The 2 days are not the same. Gary Norris says, Damon, that O-line needs to keep pressure off Brock. That Rice has a lot less pressure. That Rice has got to keep less pressure off Brock. Oh, okay. Yes. Look at it this way. The Chiefs are coming. Protect your quarterback. Give him time to make plays. I'd love to see Kyle roll him out just a little bit. Get him on the move. Brock Purdy's good when he's on the move. But more than Brock Purdy being on the move, Christian McCaffrey's got to be on the move, and they got to be setting up play action all afternoon long. Herbie Holland. Thank you, Herbie. Damon, been a fan since 1972. John Brody, Joe Montana, Steve Young. So if this team wins a Super Bowl, it's hard not to worry. That's what we as fans do. There's a difference between worrying. There is a difference between worrying and just melting down like a pearl-clutching total bitch every single time you go online. Like, stiff upper lip it through some stuff. You know, talking about how you know Moody's going to miss a field goal in a Super Bowl when Jake Moody's never missed a field goal in a Super Bowl. He's got 0 Super Bowl misses to his career. So why would you even say something like that out loud? I mean, it's like these people really are the assholes who lean over in the 9th inning and go, there's a no-hitter going on. Come on. Really? Sporticus. Damon's shut your pie hole rants are always entertaining and true. I think that's what makes him entertaining, Sporticus, because everyone knows I'm right. And by the way, even the people who talk like this know I'm right. But remember, we now live in a world where no one wants to ever admit they're wrong. So I have to be an old man shaking his fist at the cloud so they can feel right about themselves. Ooh, True Blue forever. Saying we got a little evil Damon. Evil. Again, Sports Bane, this evening, will be talking to members only. Maybe consider becoming a member of the initiated to hear from Sports Bane, who I heard might also be going to Las Vegas. We'll have to find out. Think I can get that Bane mask over the sphere? These people desire to be right is more greater than their desire for the Niners to win. It's also a bit of the anti-bandwagoning. I think you're right, Erwin. I mean, that's part of it. It's part of it. You know, if all you do is put up armor and doubt, no one can ever say you were wrong about anything. Unless you're wrong about it. Damon, that online has to keep pressure off Brock, because if you give Brock time, it's over. Yeah, you give Brock a chance to go through his reads, he's going to make the right decision. Herbie coming in again with another 10 spot. Hell, Damon, I'm still upset Steve Young for losing 3 NFC championship games. Again, so you can look back at it and go, ugh, opportunity lost. But while you were in it, were you actually rooting against him because he wasn't Joe Montana? I mean, maybe that's where this whole element of Niner fan bases like germinated from. Maybe that's it. Maybe it all goes back to, well, I was a Joe fan, and the minute they gave up on Joe, I just became, it'll never be Joe, therefore it'll never be good enough for me, and I'm going to bitch and moan about everything. And on a day there is to celebrate a Lombardi trophy, I'll be the first person lined up at the parade. But every other moment, I'm just going to bitch and moan and just tell you that it ain't Joe, it ain't Joe, it ain't Joe, it ain't Joe, it ain't Joe. Steve is winning MVPs. Still, it ain't Joe. Salty Damon. Yeah, Erwin, every now and then Salty Damon needs to show up. By the way, I did see late in the chat, like after I'd signed up, I think Chef A mentioned putting a pinch of salt in coffee. I'd never heard of that. I think I'm going to give that a try sometime. SF Indigo says Kyle's 1 year older than me. What's amazing is that he's 4 years younger than me. I mean, everywhere around you look in the head coach right now in the NFL, you got a young man in that role. Nothing here about a pinch of salt, but yeah, Chef A, the Dubs did look good last night. Again, no Tyrese Maxey. Embiid was lumbering. But no, again, no freaking sliding scale for the Warriors. They're not good enough to have a sliding scale of doubt or worry right now. Any win is a good win. If the other team has to sit its starting 5, I don't want to hear about it. Just go win the game. Kuminga has been balling, Drew Down. He has been, man. If they actually trade him, everyone has my full permission to go burn down Chase Center. D. Bruce, Mike Baker. Hello, Mike. All right. Jonathan Kuminga. Drew Down says Embiid has been balling this year, Damon. He does. He's putting up gaudy numbers, but gaudy numbers like come on a sliding scale these days, don't they? I mean, the NBA's lack of defense is at an epidemic level. It really is. That's why, seriously, like if you're asking, like, how can the Warriors get back into this? If they can just start playing a little bit of defense, they'll be like one of 4 teams actually playing defense in this league. And you watch them go on an 8-game winning streak. The one that you didn't think was in them this year would happen, but it's got to happen defensively. The Warriors have to get better defensively. And if they do get just a little bit better defensively, like they can win games. Yeah, seriously, just get me to March. After the Super Bowl, just get me to March, baby. By the way, my Hoosiers better be in the NCAA tournament this year. Decent win last night. Decent win last night for the Hoosiers. Good to see Anthony Leal get out there. I don't know what this is in reference to, but Joe Schmo just dropped a schnitzel. Feel good about schnitzel. You talking about the pork loin? Is that what it is? It's schnitzel-like. Barry Ford dropping a bang bang from Memphis. Red Jet Shell. I love me some enchiladas. You know, I think the enchilada gets left out of the conversation that it belongs in. I mean, I'm always a taco burrito guy. Rarely do I go enchilada, but enchiladas are awesome. I also, you know what I don't do nearly enough, and when you find a good one, you're like, oh, this might be the best thing here, is the chili rellenos. You get a place that has really good chili relleno, oh, man. That's some good stuff. See, mijo. Thank you, Rockin' New Era 84. You know what I'm talking about. Words of Wisdom knows what I'm talking about. Thong. Thong, da, thong, thong, thong. By the way, I can't remember if I did it on a wake up or not, but this is going back to the NFC Championship game. If you haven't ever Googled "It's So Cold in the D," you go watch that on YouTube right now. It's got to be so cold in the D. Why the fuck can't we just have peace? You got to watch It's So Cold in the D. It's got to be freezing in the D right now. At least Ben Johnson's staying. You can plug yourself into that. '49er Ultimate Report. I agree, Damon. Too many fake fans are just getting ready for game. I mean, here's the thing. Like, unless you have a national show where your network has told you, say outrageous shit to get ratings, if you're just trying to get attention for your Twitter account, you're just so lame. I mean, I don't know. Damon, this reminded me of early KNBR Damon today. Michael, put you in the time machine. Thank you. Jude Wellington. According to KQAD, a reporter who follows Bay Area sports has researched that the NFL has recognized over $300 million in influence revenue. I believe that shit, and we got to get over, not them. I'm losing you here. Bay Area sports has researched that the NFL has recognized over $300 million in influence revenue. So you're talking like influencer? Are you talking about Kyle Juszczyk's wife? Because she's about to make $300 million maybe. Chrissy, 1687. Please stop slurping. Oh, sweetie. Be a little tougher in the world, okay? Be a little tougher in the world. If this is going to... I'm slurping because it's hot. This isn't this isn't one of those sensory things here. This is hot coffee. I mean, just you ain't going to make it in life if slurping gets to you. Oh, this is revenue by Taylor Swift. Influence revenue by Taylor Swift. I feel like I should do a video to help Swifties watch their first ever football game if that's what the Super Bowl is going to be. Let them know, like, you know, you need 10 yards for a first down. A yard is 3 feet. I don't know how ready to go they are, but Look, I just think that the whole Taylor Swift is watching football is the most overreported, most ridiculous story we've come across in a while. There's Taylor Swift. She's on camera again. Oh no, what are you going to do with the camera on that really pretty, nice girl who seems to be smiling and genuinely enjoying the company of everyone around her at all times? How does that bother? How does it, does that bother generation can't get none? Does that bother generation doesn't know how to talk to a girl? Does that bother generation virgin? I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Again, you get the entire world to complain about, and is Taylor Swift is bothering you? Damon, you should wear the mask on the plane. First of all, I'm not Sports Bane, so I can't do that. Second of all, could you imagine that? Could you imagine that I get on the flight? We rise. Member only Plus jackets? That'd be age appropriate, right? Of course, Michelle Haberman wants a members-only Plus jacket. They turned the entire Luxor into a big Dorito chip, and you know what? The entire Luxor got bought out by CBS because apparently the local trailer park wasn't available. The Luxor. Oh, my God. If you get to take the whole casino over, I guess that's kind of cool, but the Luxor. The nicest thing I can say about the Luxor is it's close to Allegiant Stadium. Chrissy, I picked on you earlier over the slurping criticism. Let's get back in here. Chrissy, Super Bowl prices are ridiculous. The year and decades-long supporters are priced out, and the elite that don't give a fuck get to go. It pisses me off. Fuck the NFL, I think she was saying. Well, look, Chrissy, again, it's always more to put on a wedding dinner from a caterer than it is just a normal dinner. It's always more to go out to dinner on New Year's Eve or Valentine's Day. This is premium. This is supply and demand. That's what that is. And you can't be angry at that. You can't be angry at that. The Super Bowl is a luxury item. It will never be priced reasonable again. So there should be no expectation of reasonable prices for a Super Bowl. Supply and demand. Supply and demand. And what is really compounding this is it's in Las Vegas. It's the first ever time in Las Vegas, and Allegiant is going to be one of the smaller modern stadiums to ever host a Super Bowl, if not the smallest stadium. So, who doesn't want to go to the Super Bowl in Las Vegas? The man who invented doubting things in Bay Area sports. Salty Balty, rest in peace. Absolutely, Joe Schmo. Legends Pizza saying, real simple, my blood pressure can't handle more salt. I guess you're talking about the coffee? Yeah, I probably shouldn't be putting more salt in anything. But a pinch of salt in the coffee? Again, it wasn't my idea. It was Chef A. Oh, look at this. Chef A right here. Yes, Damon, salt balances any bitterness beautifully. Okay. I'm going to tell you right now that there's nothing better on a chocolate chip cookie than just a little bit of salt. It's salty sweet. I love salty sweet. Salty chocolate, all about it. San Bruno Mike, do you think going through an X-ray gives you power over me? What if I tried to wear the Bane mask through security, through TSA? I couldn't because I'm not Bane. But imagine somebody tried to wear a Bane mask. Now, it is all rubber. It wouldn't set anything off. I'd be like, this is my, I don't wear N95 masks. I'm trying to prevent any contagions from entering. So I'm wearing a Bane mask. Barry Ford says, my relationship with the 49ers is the longest one in my life, and I'm 62. This Plusser predicts pampered Patrick will poop out pitifully while playing. Again, it's tough to tell you what Patrick Mahomes isn't about to do. It's tough to bet on any of that. He is really good. Schnitzel is good for ball, too. I agree. Schnitzel is good. We have Jorge Luis Sotelo. Did I get that? Sotlo? Jorge Luis Sotlo. Greetings from inside the 305, my friend. Couldn't have said it better. Let's enjoy this. 49ers 30, Chiefs 20. I think the 49ers got to score at least 28 points in this game. At least 28 points. Words of wisdom. $5 super chat going right in the JJ Raider Ganja jar. I'm 49 this year. I found my 94 parka from 94, Ladybug colors. Mike Shanahan wore it during the last Super Bowl. Coincidence? I think not. You got like an old... What were those called? The pullovers that everyone wore there for a while? Upper Deck or something, whatever they were. Those pullovers, starter jackets. They were hot. Joe Schmo was responding to some other comment when he brought up enchiladas. The whole enchilada. Enchiladas are delicious. If Brock can scramble like last time, I think that can be the X factor. Get those crucial first downs when things break down. VIP Patel, no doubt about it, man. And that is where Patrick Mahomes needs to scare you. Look at Ike. Just inventing delicious things. Chili relleno burrito. I like all of those words. All of those words. Chef A, she's down. Rellenos rule. So do enchiladas if made right. Michelle Haberman. Pro chili relleno. Good fish taco, too. I love a fish taco. A little Baja fish taco, a little fried fish taco. Oh, that's so good. I like the ones that, I like the Knicks Way, the Knicks Way Baja fish taco from Underdogs in San Francisco. This is what I was talking about. ASMR from Damon's Coffee Sip. It's part of the show. It's my co-host. I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just taking a sip. It's not performative. If I were doing a performance sip, I understand how that could get underneath people's skins. This isn't performance sipping. This is real sipping. Damon ASMR. Whisper, you're a bitch for 10 minutes. Imagine if that was it. Don't make me go get a bowl of soup. Tiger Tank 06, we need Damon to eat a bowl of soup on the stream for maximum slurping. Keep the slurping. There you go. Keep the slurping. Damon's slurp ratings of the day. Again, we're taking it too far. Mike, slurping builds character. Damon, slurp with a pinky raised. Generation virgin. It really is out there. Again, the amount of dudes in the world right now who really know how to talk tough on the internet but don't know how to talk to a girl in person, it's amazing. It's sad. The Luxor is rough. It is. Luxor is rough. And it was, look, the regular Ryan, it's amazing things how the Luxor was the coolest place in the world when I saw photos of it as a child. You're like, yeah, it's like the modern pyramids, man. At one point, it was there was a stat, right? The only two man-made things that you could see from outer space were the Great Wall of China and the light at the top coming off of the Luxor. I think that was a stat at one point in time. Again, 49er Ultimate Report, just throwing a $5 jingle jangle out there. Thank you, brother. I tell you what we're going to do one day while I'm in Vegas. We're going to have let's see how many super chats we can get. We're going to keep track in real time of what that is. Then I'm going to take that amount of money and put it on one hand of blackjack. We're going to gamble. Salty was the best. He had some great calls. Greedy Greg 415. He really did. He really did have some great calls. He was so beautifully miserable. Damon tagged you on an X tweet. Bring jacket to Las Vegas. I will look for that a little bit later. Thank you very, very much. And again, thank you. Bane on a plane. This is good material. East Bay Ricard Damon. Damon, call it your emotional support mask. Little cayenne pepper in some coffee. Like I do like when you when you order like a little Colombian coffee with a little spice in there. I do like that. Red Jet. Viva Los starter jackets. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Hell yeah. My man Vasu. Saltwater taffy and Pismo Beach is the best. It is good. It really is good. Good to see you, Vasu. I think we're at the end, boys and girls. Kansas City Chiefs winning in Las Vegas. Wasted bananas. I can't wait. Should be a hell of a game. Should be a hell of a game. And all I can tell you is that I am, very much one of those guys to believe that to be good and valuable to you, I shouldn't be rooting for any outcomes. Impartiality is, I believe, key to the best analysis. But all my audience are Niners fans. Vast majority of you anyways, maybe not wasted bananas. My wife is a Niners fan. My boys are Niners fans. The city of San Francisco would look great draped in a championship parade. It's been a while. I'd like to see another one. And as my old pal Ray Ratto said, if you're going to root for yourself. And it'd be good for the channel. Here's the thing. I want this Super Bowl week to go so smashingly. We're approaching I want thousands of subscribers just in Super Bowl week. That's very aggressive. To get us 1,000 subscribers in a week is pretty ridiculous. But I'm gonna be asking for it. We're gonna get aggressive. I mean, if you're in Vegas, you got to be aggressive. You want to win a Super Bowl, you got to be aggressive, baby. So we're gonna stay aggressive. Nick J just says, hey, do me a favor. Just call the Bane mask your CPAP. Right here. Rick Mighty Bone Feliciano. Damon, it's been a quiet 16.2K subs, 17,000 by Super Bowl. Wouldn't that be great? I think we could hopefully even do better. I'd love to be around 18,000 come the actual game. Damon, make some Damon Bruce t-shirts and bring them. That will happen eventually, but it's not happening here. Chef A, you ask and you shall receive. We can give you one of those for sure.
Maximum!
And there you go. There you go. Boys and girls, let me remind you, 2:30-ish, let's call it between 2:30 and 3 o'clock, yours truly will be conducting a Brock Purdy intervention for Nick Wright. Just like the thumbnail says, I hope to see you a little bit later on this afternoon. I hope to continue to see you at 11 o'clock Monday through Friday here on The Plus. I hope you continue to download the podcast. And boy, I hope you're riding with me in Las Vegas next week. We're a week away from going to Vegas. A week away from going to Vegas. A week away. Wednesday, this time, this hour, at this hour, I should be landing in Las Vegas, leaving next Wednesday. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Look at Michelle Haberman. 18,000 by Super Bowl Sunday, baby. That's the kind of enthusiasm I'm liking around here. Sam Bruno Mike, Ray Ratto wondering why he's got an instant headache. Oh, he definitely felt a disturbance in the force. There's no doubt about that. Again, thanks again to all of my sponsors, Ike's, Uncle Boys. Thank you to MyBookie.ag, Dr. Paul Hughes, making my knee feel right, feel good. I'm going to be able to walk all over Vegas's God's green earth. Thanks to my knee feeling better, thanks to Dr. Paul Hughes. Go to orthopedicsurgeries.com to avoid an orthopedic surgery. And the rest of you, I want to say thanks so much for hanging out today. It breaks my heart to let you know that you don't have to go home. You just can't stay here.